Good morning and welcome to Coffee Conversations and Contracts. And we're going to welcome you here today. As individuals come into the room, we'll be letting them in. And this is meant to be a conversational session, but as you if you're not having questions, just maintain your mute status as Cynthia and I lead your conversation today. It's going to be about a 20-minute session, and we're going to try to keep them to about 20 minutes. We know everybody's on a busy schedule. And so how are you doing today, Cynthia?
I am doing absolutely wonderful, and I've got the prettiest coffee cup as anyone here. I might not win, but I still have the prettiest cup, so I'm ready to sip and talk.
Good. That's the goal. And I'm hoping everybody else has brought those coffee cups with them. So we'll be picking out a winner. And I have to apologize. Last week, we had a winner. And unfortunately, we have four individuals in our database named the same person. So if they come on, when they come online today, I think it was Gregory. If he comes online, then we'll get his actual email address because we can send that to him, that coffee, because he did have that great cup last week. And so we're going to continue that tradition, making sure everybody's bringing that coffee with them. But, we had, a busy week last week. And I think we got Mellow Yellow. Was that Mellow Yellow there ever? I think it's a little bit too much more in coffee. But that's good. So whatever floats your boat, I guess, is a saying. But last week we saw a lot of attention focused in on the upcoming infrastructure bill. There's a lot of political discussion, but I think they're bringing along enough people that this is going to be a reality. And I think it's between 2 trillion plus money flushed into the marketplace. And so could just call attention that at Gov Directions we have specific categories which where we're going to be featuring those infrastructure projects. So just make sure you monitor not only just the traditional infrastructure where we're talking about roads and bridges and broadband and climate change, environmental, or the green energy. A lot of money going in electric vehicles, but then also some of the more the social aspect. I think there's going to be trying to broaden that definition of what is traditionally considered infrastructure in the country, all with the monies flowing to help fund those projects. So we're going to continue to feature those. Those are our upcoming projects in our, there we go. Let me make sure we get the mute statuses on. Those upcoming projects that are at the local government level, oftentimes whenever they're going through and they're appropriating these funds, they're going after those ready to go projects because they're trying to make an impact. It's not the more traditional process of procuring items where they're going debating it still, but here the government's trying to have a specific impact on our economy, and so they fund those ready to go projects. Often sometimes seen in the individual line items of government budgets and the capital improvement plans, and just to give you a little comfort feeling that you don't miss those. We have teams of graduate students, interns, and others going through those documents to read for you those projects that potentially can be funded, and we'll always identify them in your individual member account. So that's important. Sorry about that. Let me get the right screen there. Member account. Remember, all this is recorded, so we have to make sure we get logged in the right way too. But you can go in there, you can view those upcoming projects at any given time. And you're going to find that those, for concrete services, for example, these are projects that we know that they're looking at, and potentially when they get that funding in place, they're going to have that right on the street. So you want to monitor and be sort of first to get to the market for that. And so that's what we're continuing to coverage. And in fact, this coming week in our sessions, we're going to talk once again about emergency procurement. Somebody's asked us to go back and revisit not only the pandemic procurement items, but also some of the emergency spending measures that we see out there. We're going to do that Wednesday afternoon at 2:00. And so encourage you at this channel here, just type right in, and we're going to revisit the now some $2 trillion in contracts have been awarded, and specifically in pandemic procurement, but also the ones that are still upcoming. And you can go into usaspending.gov and you can see that that number growing every day. It's spent just in COVID-19. Now we're over $2 trillion. A lot of money flowing forward, and we're trying to make sure we keep you apprised of those contracts. They're individually listed, of course, on our website within different individual categories, but at our homepage you can come in and click, and we've got some keyword functionality allowing you to pull out those funding. And these are, we got past some of that emergency, but to more replenishing, but still using the acquisition.gov FAR regulations to make some of those purchases at the federal level, but also at the local and state government level. So we want to make sure we don't miss those. But I think we're still in a really large volume of acquisitions in a marketplace. It's somewhat saturated, but still you're seeing a lot of different bids coming through, but still very needing individuals to respond to that. And then the American Jobs Plan, that's where the infrastructure bill, as it makes its way through the Congress, they're using the earmarking approach. And so you're going to see individual projects identified in that capacity. And so once we start seeing those individual projects, and we're going to start helping you know how to get in there. And that's not just at the top level, but also at the trades or subcontracting level. And so that's always exciting to watch. I think we've mentioned over and over again, we don't focus so much on the politics of it. Once they make the decision, our members should be first in line to get that business, is the way we sort of approach it. Let them worry about making the decisions, but then we need to be there and be the companies that are winning those contracts. And so we're going to help identify those. And you can see they're going into individual areas of planning in terms of transportation and broadband and education. So it's just a lot of different areas. Any questions about that bill as it's coming forward? I'm always glad to kind of chat about the legislative process itself. There's a chat box, and it's there, and Cynthia's typing in some of the actual links that we have there. We'll give you can go back to YouTube, our channel on YouTube, and see some of those links as we do. But I also want to call attention to, the ones that are actually winning these projects right now. Let me just give you a share, because I was kind of surprised when I actually went in and looked at a number this weekend. We're starting a new newsletter called Big Winners. I think it's what the actual title of it is. And this one is where we're focusing on, let's see, you can get my multiple there, on the winners that are out there and who's winning contracts, but the big ones. And so we're going to help identify them. But just since April 1st, there's been 1,714 contracts at the federal level alone, $14.8 billion. And this is just in the first, where we at day 12. We're not even, day 12 hasn't been announced yet. That's just the first 11 days, and $8.6 million on average. So we're seeing massive amounts of spending at the federal level. This is also matched, I believe, at the state and local government level, if not exceeded. I'm going to pull those statistics out this week, but coming in and starting to identify some of the public companies that are winning, going through a little bit of interest to see, does it really impact the stock prices of some of these companies when they have large contracts? This company was part of a $2 billion software solution award made last week. 5 companies won that. Over $200 million going in. This, I think they actually approached $400 million by themselves. Just a significant amount for a contract. Another one, Programmer Power, showing, sort of illustrating the impact of investing in electric power related activities, electric vehicles and so forth. A $15.7 million award to Amatec, a programmable power company. And then we also have a $19.5 million one to engineering and research and consulting. Toshan Limited has a $41 million contract value. That's actually in Japan, servicing some of our military bases there, and in Pacific award there. That's going to be, it was just a significant award for one company alone. On top of this one here is the one that really caught my eye last week, the $200 to $400 million by itself, but a $2 billion package. And then on top of that, there was an additional one to them for some $300 million that was released. We have another infrastructure technologies company won a $21.3 million contract. Andrews Hydro Corporation, make sure I get that word correct, a $12.4 million appropriation, investing in hydro related activities. And so that's another public company. This one actually is over the counter marketplace item. And then just these ones yesterday announced for fixed wing services in Alaska. There's a $4 million award total that's been split. It's indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity type bid, mixed amongst a number of different organizations, all eligible to receive up to $4 million. And there's probably about, I think it was about 20 different air services in the Alaska timeframe, but just one of the transportation awards too. And then this one here, Monode Marketing Products, was one of also called, it's just a small business that deals with next generation sterilization and serialization, excuse me, going in and making the serial numbers clear on the actual equipment that they're doing in order to go in and do inventory. But $2.8 million award. And I was going to switch over because it caught my attention to a level because it was something unique. I wanted to go back and see who that company was. And here they are. And I want to kind of, since we were here, I was going to show you kind of how they help them make themselves stand out as a smaller business. And I believe this one was in Ohio. And calling attention to their NAICS code on their website, talking about where they're registered, making sure their DUNS numbers there, giving actual contact information. It's in Mentor, Ohio. And where their GSA schedule is at, their NAICS codes that they qualify for, and how important that is in your website or in your capability statement. In through here, whenever you get a quote, you're able to pull down that capability statement. So if it's a government agency seeking their services, making that website speak government terms and technology and terminology that they use, and sort of governmentese. I was trying not to use that word, but how because it's one of those words, kind of made up word, but it's important that you speak their language and understand how that's there. And then also how they actually go into Beta.SAM. Here's that fixed wing on call bid that I was mentioning. This is just one of the outfitters that's awarded this up to a $4 million award. But how to read that information and how to follow along, it's important. We're always, of course, sending you back to the details, but here there's just an award notice on this one in particular because it's part of a big award, and it will link back to the actual contract, and you do that with a contract award number, and you're actually able to go in and search that under the when you're in SAM at the very first page, just going in and actually searching the award numbers, and it will show you those individuals that potentially through the Department of Interior and others that have been awarded that for aviation management. And then, going back into this one for serialization, and, kind of trying to really understand what they're actually talking about here, but part marking, big contract for, that type of fabrication services, and going in and knowing where they're at. They're going to actually deliver this at Tinker Air Force Base, and more information about the company. And this is the actual original bid that was issued, and you can come in there and actually download the individual documents and see how they actually work that. That's always interesting to me to kind of go back through when I flow through some of these, and you can see the history of how it was awarded, how they made updates to it. And here was the original one. Actually, when they announced it back in 2020, and they did a source of salt. We talked about this in one of our classes where we work with you on understanding the contracting instruments. But when this is kind of like that upcoming, we're going to do something, we're thinking about it. We want to see who's potentially eligible, and they'll describe that in the source of salt notice and tell you about when this bid's coming up and when they think that it's going to be there. And then when they actually issue it, then you can see the actual synopsis there. Okay, and how important that is to make sure you watch for it first. Respond to those sources of salt. And that's where, in that source of salt, is where you really need to make sure you have that capability statement laid out, and making sure that you're going to be in this particular NAICS code that they're looking for, that's identified in your capability statement. When you respond to them, you're able to demonstrate. This was also a small business presentation. And so I want to make just call to the importance of that. And as we're looking at this additional $2 trillion potential spending being ready to go is going to be so important. Those are the companies that are going to win these contracts. And it's not just that just at the federal government level, but remember that whenever the federal government funds the acquisition, then it potentially could be acquired at the state and local government level. And you can sit around and watch Beta.SAM, and you're not actually going to see the individual contracts that are being awarded. And so whenever they go in, they do infrastructure projects in a rural area in your state, that could be potentially procured through a development authority of some sort in that area, or a regional council. And they could be the leading agency in that project. And that becomes more and more important as there's some sort of co-op involvement. So there's multiple governments involved. And so you don't want to miss that. So, I just want to give an overview there. What's been on your mind, Cynthia?
Well, I wanted to bring to the attention, what is a sources sought? Some people might not understand exactly what that means. And that's really when the government is requesting for information. Participate as much as you can when the government asks for that, because you let them know that you are woke, you're active, you are going to be bidding. So understand the difference in a sources sought and a request, RFI, RFP, all those things really mean a lot to you. To understand, as Mark made up his word, govern, what did you call it, Mark? Governance. Governmentese. Okay, so he made up a new word.
I'm good about doing that. I tend to make up words as I try to sort through my brain. Sometimes it just happens. And I'm not sure. But what we're talking about there is speaking the same language.
Absolutely. Speaking the language of the government. Another thing that I wanted to point out, you initiated this conversation, this YouTube with a few companies that had won some major awards. If you offer any services that those companies won the awards in, transportation, for an example, Mr. Wilson, you work in transportation. It would not hurt you to send your capability statement and introduce yourself to those companies. Aviation, I saw some aviation, some logistical things. If you offer services in that arena, look these companies up and share with them that you exist, because their contracts are so broad. They will use some smaller companies to help win some of these projects. And it might be a relationship developed for you somewhere down the line.
And so that's also important, Cynthia. So you mentioned, watching, the actual awards that potentially out there. So this one here is 981211 is the actual NAICS code. So when you go into GovDirections, and this is going to come to you by categorization in your daily alert, so that you know that. And it'll come across and have the word award on that. But here, if you go in and search, there you're going to see the more recent ones. Here's that one for the Alaska. Here's helicopter by state. And so this one here is not assigned by state because it was awarded at the federal level, and that potentially can be used in different areas. So it goes to multiple categories. And so here, when you go in there and you see these potential RFPs, that's where you're actually able to go in and quickly see the details about it just by typing in your username and password. And then you're able to step through to see the award and the amount. Here, this is a $575,000 award. So if you are in the South Coast in California, then you can reach out to them. And how do you go about doing that? Well, in the Small Business Dynamic Search System, you can go in and you can learn, and actually also at the SAM, you go to sam.gov, easier way, since a lot of us are not familiar with the other, but you can go in, you can search records, type in that company's name. There we go. Search, and then the details will be here. Let's see here, view details. And Vincent has his information there, and you're able to go in there and learn a little bit more about them, get their phone number traditionally, or reach out to them and offer your services. It's a way to kind of step through that process of learning how to expand your business. So the morning's going quick. We're at the 10:18 mark. Any questions today?
Any questions? Any pretty coffee cups that I can choose to give a free cup of coffee to? If you got a nice coffee mug, what kind of coffee cup is that, Everett?
Anyone else going to volunteer? There we go. And we were looking for topics that you want us to chat about on these Monday mornings. So we're going to stay on sort of more traditional, letting you know who's winning, letting you know what's coming, and then featuring the individual sessions we're going to have this week. And just to go back to our Gov School and to point out that on our schedule is always here. So next week we'll talk about Maryland laws. Okay, I'll do some research. We'll get that focus it on Maryland. Maryland's going to focus next week. But our emergency procurement tomorrow, Wednesday, come Friday, we're going to talk about bidwink. Don't fall into the traps of spending too much money. And we're going to kind of highlight that. Next Monday, we're going to, this will be a third Monday. So it's every first and third Monday. We do the Gov School Focus. And if you need some additional assistance in really learning that government tease, then we're going to be sitting with you for an hour and a half, kind of talk about some of those topics. And while this is enrolled at $50 for non-members, if you're a member of our services, then you can be slotted in one of those classes.
Absolutely.
So I think we have a topic next week, Cynthia, Maryland laws and their procurement. So we're going to focus on what's happening in Maryland next week.
Okay.
And maybe in some other states, if I hear from you. I'm gonna step down to the state level and talk about states. But I appreciate everybody coming this morning and spending some time with us. Any final thoughts, Cynthia?
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that definitely need more help with, CWIT says we need more help with actually bidding and becoming a sub. You're absolutely right. I don't know if that's CWIT or if I'm saying that right, but we understand that. That's the biggest concern is bidding. You know, how do we bid? How do we win? And we do want to get into that. And we want to know what you want to hear about. Just to let you guys know, I've met with the SBA on multiple occasions, and we're trying to get SBA and HHS and other groups that are running these agencies and HUD. I've made calls to them. So they'll come out and be a part of what Gov Directions is doing on Monday mornings so that you can ask them direct conversations about the agency. Ms. Witt, did you have a question? I'm saying your name's correct. Did you have a question for us? I think you posed a question and you said the bidding. And Mark, didn't you recently do a training on the bidding?
We have. And
no question. Just I'm gonna follow up with you guys and just make sure I'm paying attention more to these type of meetings to be more engaged and to try to fully understand the process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we want. That's why Mark and I decided to create this through Gov Directions so that we would be able to give you some information that will help you win. We really want to help you win with your capability statements, with bidding, how to look up and work through subnet. All these different entities are important for you to grow your business. So you're right.
I'm actually reaching out to SBA today to see if they can actually help me or give me some resources on putting together a business plan. I started it. I guess I just have to figure out more on how to look at industry research.
Okay.
To get
do you have a relationship with Georgia? Are you local to Georgia?
No, I'm local to New York.
Well, every county and every state has a procurement assistance center. So also take advantage of that as well. They can help you as well as SCORE. And these are free services and they help you with projects and things of that nature.
I didn't have a good experience with SCORE
Okay.
prior, and I try to stay away from them because I really didn't have a good experience with them. They really didn't try to lead me down the right path. So
Okay.
I'm going to start with the SBA today. I'm just a new startup and just trying to make sure that I lay the groundwork before I get up and running the proper way.
Sure. What's your business? Can we ask you, what do you do?
My business name is Claff Logistics. It has to do with moving freight, whether it's trying to bundle less than full loads together to make sure it's going all in the same direction and get more loads coming back in the other direction to make sure we don't have any deadhead loads. So I'm concentrating on that, trying to look at some maybe some apps to assist with getting that done besides the load boards. So these are the things that I'm working on and, actually trying to, I don't know whether I'm going to buy the trucks first or lease the trucks. So these are the things that I'm looking at.
All right. If there's anyone up here who's in logistics, do understand the question that was posed. We like for you all to reach out and establish relationships with each other so that you can possibly be each other's go-to. Because that's how you do it, your team and your partner.
We can get joint ventures going,
Absolutely.
a couple different things to, get a teaming effort together to win a couple of these contracts.
You're right.
Well, we certainly thank everybody for joining us, and we'll send out a note to you and let you about this coming week and next Monday. And we're going to talk about the information technology bits as well there, Steve. So I'll pull these, what you have here today, we'll make that our agenda for next week. Looking forward to seeing you then.
Thank you. Appreciate the help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Miss, could you put your information in the chat for me? How to reach you,
Yes.
please? And thank you.
We can do that in a direct message.
In a
Please.
direct message, okay?
Don't put it up here.
Yes, just
In chat.
put it on the Coffee Conversations. I want to introduce you to someone else up here.
Okay, I'm just gonna put it in chat. That's fine.